Okay, we are recording on the old Streamlabs, the video, so we can upload the VOD right away when we're done. That's perfect. We're gonna pull up some of these notes here real quick, too. Why not, huh? Probably should have notes. You think that's a good thing?
Why not?
Let's see here. Hey, did you kind of notice the way I restructured our drive? I think it's a little cleaner.
I did not.
Okay, never mind then.
I need to pay attention though.
Are the notes in the notes folder?
They are.
I see them. I see them here.
Okay, good.
God, this song is such a banger. That. I want it my half screen. Let's go. God damn it. Technology is tough. Did you know that?
Yeah, that's why I don't do it. That's why I got you.
Yeah, well, you better start learning. All right, here we go.
You don't learn today.
Yeah, you're gonna have to learn eventually.
Definitely not.
All right. God, this song is such a banger. All right, pulling up our theme, and we're gonna be going here right now.
Let's go.
Let's go. What up, everybody? It is Saturday, January 8th. Jack, are you playing video games?
Is that right? I was until we were ready to go. Now I can be done.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. I just thought I heard like people dying in the background and everything. I was like, what is going on? So
No, never.
Never. All right. What up, everybody?
They're just dying to hear our podcast episode.
It is Saturday, January 8th, 2022. I hope everybody had a wonderful New Year, a wonderful holiday and Christmas break, whatever you guys did. Hope it was memorable and all that other good fluffy stuff. All right, I'm over that. We are
fluffy.
Yeah, we are the Victorious POD. We talk generally about fantasy football. Sometimes we might stray off topic, but most of the times it's about fantasy football and football in general. And as always, I am joined here by my great co-host Jack, and even better friend Jack. How you doing, man?
Gonna make me cry. That's so sweet. I'm good. Happy that we've started the new year over, and that we're gearing up for real NFL playoffs and wrapping up some fantasy season. So, yeah,
I'm all about that for sure. Just a few quick announcements here real quick, as if you haven't noticed already, we are on Twitch, and I just want to give a quick shout out to Super T09 and my buddy Razanon, friend of the pod. He is the main, I would say, host. They have co-hosts, but he is the, I don't know if I want to call him the brains behind the whole operation. He would claim to do that, but Razanon is the podcast host for the Call of Duty Drop Shot podcast, and I just wanted to say thanks for the follow, and I really appreciate it, and thank you. Moving on, I just wanted to say that we are on Twitch, so if you want to follow us and hit us up, that would be fantastic. We still are uploading all of our content to YouTube, so please feel free to check out YouTube and follow us there as well. I would like to give a special thanks to Levi Oki. He is responsible for all of our beautiful artwork that you see here. If you are looking to see, if you are looking to see more of his artwork, you can find him on Instagram at Levi Oki Illustrations. So please go check him out. If you are looking to get a hold of us at the end of this broadcast, I will be updating all of our show note descriptions, whatever. So you can find all of that in there, where we have links to our Discord. We have links to all of our social media accounts. So yeah, there's all of that. Is there any other announcements, Jack, that you want to get into right away before we get going?
I don't think so.
Okay, right on. Did you have a good New Year's?
Yeah, we did. It wasn't anything super crazy. We got together at some of Christine's family and played some games, had a couple of drinks, and just kind of hung out. So it was low key, but we did make it to midnight. So there's that. Right
on. Love to hear that. So, I did make it to midnight. I probably was there.
Whoa.
I don't know. I think I was up like 5 minutes, probably past. And I was like, all right, I'm done with 2022. It's time for bed. So.
Midnight's late for you, so I'm impressed.
Yeah, no, midnight. Well, I was up till 3 a.m. getting dubs in Caldera last night, so there is that. So. Ayo, let's go. All right. Okay, we're going to be moving on here to our next segment, which is going to be our NFL segment. We're going to switch on over to our slideshow scene here. And we're all done with picks. We're all done. We're not doing them anymore for this season, at least. I mean,
sad day.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, it's a great day for me because I have come out victorious this year, and wow, 11 picks. So that's
yeah, you crushed it.
Yeah, it was, well, yeah, I did. I'm pretty happy about how we did. What were your thoughts on how we did this season? Did you like the bid? Did you not like the bid? Do you want to, we're going to change it up next year. We're going to select 2 teams each week next year, but so there are going to be changes coming.
I think that difference will make it easier. I definitely enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun just because it's nice to add a little bit of real NFL-ness into the fantasy podcast, but I think once like some of us started realizing halfway through the year that we were like, oh, you don't even have to pick half of the bad teams. Like, why are we wasting our picks on terrible teams? So I think adding like the 2 picks in will make things a little bit more interesting.
Absolutely. It'll definitely make things harder. You can't just pick like a semi-bad team against a team that's doing terrible this year, so it's going to make it a little bit more interesting. I'm probably definitely not going to have the same amount of luck that I had this year, so, but there was a strategy to how we did it, and I exploited that strategy and came out pretty well. So
I did hear that I believe Garlic mentioned he had either a voicemail or a call-in or something regarding the NFL Pick'em that he wanted to talk about. He told me to remind him, so if he's still listening, he should let us know sometime soon.
Yeah, let's see here. I'm going here into
maybe he was just planning on being live. I don't know, but he did have a little bit to add on for our thing.
Let me. I'm just gonna stall here for a second. So why don't you go ahead and say something here, and I'm gonna check our voicemail here real quick.
Yeah. So. Obviously, as those of you can see on the scoreboard, mine did not go super well. I got bogged down by the somehow unpredictable Detroit Lions, where no one could figure out if they were going to be good or bad this year. But not ideal for somebody who considers themselves like they know what they're talking about in football. But that's why I think next year will make it a little bit more interesting, because I think by the end of the season, like, you might be up 10-2 on somebody, but like once we start getting down to the nitty gritty and maybe some people that saved their picks for later, it'll actually benefit them. So different strategies to be had and whatnot, but I'm excited to see that. So as far as what Walters is looking for and what I referenced with Garlic, he told me earlier in the season that he had a secret. I don't know if it was a plan, or at first I kind of thought he was just trolling us, but I was like, why are you picking some odd teams and then being secretive about it? So I don't know what it was in reference to. He did come on very hot at the end of the season. I think he had 5 or 6 wins in a row. But yeah, I'm curious to find out what that's going to end up being. So other than that, I don't know if you want to keep chit-chatting about things.
Yeah, I don't know when he... Let's see here. Pick'em Gar's game in the game. Hidden note. I don't know. He had left me a voicemail that we've never played. When he left it, I don't know.
What?
No idea. Let's hear. Let's take a listen.
To me.
Let's take a little listen here.
What is going on, Walters and Jack, and/or Walters and mystery guest number 17? After all the shenanigans that happened earlier this year, I kind of, in a little bit of a protest, I decided to take these pick-em picks and make my own little game, my further little game. You're only picking one game a week, so I figured I'd, kick it up a notch just for my own entertainment. But and if we can go back for just a second, there's no reason that Walters couldn't have just kept doing this. Like, he obviously had all the resources he needed to. He get a couple of quick text messages, and Walters could have kept going. Anyways, I'll move on. Yes, for the pick'em, I mean, watching people pick the same team or picking all the matchups that play Detroit or play the Jets or play the Jacksonville Jaguars, that was dumb for me. So, I mean, just a little thing I did all year was I picked a different opponent each week. So the same way, you could only pick one team for you only pick them once in a season. I only picked one opponent once in a season. So that's what I did to keep it interesting. Quit being dumb. Bye.
That's very interesting.
Interesting. I didn't realize he was doing that.
I didn't either. So good job.
I'm surprised he didn't run out of people, because not being able to pick the same team and not being able to pick the same opponent, you'd think it would kind of like narrow down towards the end.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, all right.
Well played, Garlic.
I am done with NFL Pick'em for the year. So let's move on to our Streamer Spotlight segment, which is brought to you by Golden Grams, the treats bar, the s'mores treats bar. Dude, these things wail. If you find these in the grocery store,
I've had those and they're good.
God, they are so delicious. And then I'm also got my old big jug of water here so that I don't sound like crap on the microphone. Jack ran off to go get his stuff. So talking a little bit about what we got going on for
I gotta get my jug of water too.
Oh, there we go. Jeez, that's massive.
Good and gather. Yeah. Well, it's my, if I drink one of these in a day, that's like the 100 and plus ounces or whatever that you're supposed to have. So I was like, what? Rather than filling up one 12 times back and forth, I figured I'd just try to do that.
For sure. All right. So moving on here with our swimming upstream. Last week, Jack, you picked Trey Lance, and I believe you said last week, and I'm going to quote, he is good for the 18-19 range, and you were dead on. Actually, you were off by 0.06 points, and we'll never forgive you for that, but I picked Ryan Tannehill, who was hot trash, but he did all right. And we'll talk a little bit more about Ryan Tannehill in just a second. Not too much, but so just to round out week 17, your championship round of fantasy football, Joe Burrow, Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Dak Prescott, and Kyler Murray, rounding out your top 5 for your week 17. Looking at your week 17 free agent top 12 quarterbacks, Trey Lance should be on that list, but Jordan picked him up, so I didn't put him on there for some reason.
Ruined it.
Mac Jones, some guy who goes by the name of Tim Boyle, fake guy, fake news, fake name, whatever. Drew Lock, Ryan Tannehill, and Zach Wilson are your top 5 for free agent quarterbacks, and not necessarily, I mean, Mac Jones and Tim Boyle were probably your only 2 guys that would be worth, not even worth, I mean, I wouldn't start Tim Boyle, but he had an okay game. We're going to talk a little bit quick here about our season-long top 12 quarterbacks. Josh Allen was number 1, I would assume, in, if not all leagues, in most leagues, followed by Justin Herbert, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, and Aaron Rodgers sneaking into the top 5, which really is no surprise to me, but
Yeah.
There was a solid
Herbert
month
maybe
or so.
being number 2. He's kind of, I wouldn't have expected that, but yeah, 4 of those names at least would have been probably preseason picks for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to note, we will next week. I will be sending out a Google survey, and I'm just going to be questions about the fantasy season and your opinions on the fantasy season. Not even if you're not in our league, you don't have to be in our league, but we're going to share some of the answers that our listeners give us, and when it's out there, I will encourage you to participate. We'll have questions like, who do you think was, the fantasy MVP on the season? Which wide receiver was the biggest surprise? Which one was the biggest letdown? So just stuff like that. So
I like that.
We'll tabulate some results. We'll get the listeners involved, and I think it'll be a really good bit that we can do for our next episode. So, just
more importantly, how did we finish on the season now that we're done?
That is a smooth transition. I was actually just going to start talking about that. So, on the year, we finished with 252 fantasy points. That is week 1 through 17 minus week 14. We did not add any of our points to week 14, which puts us at quarterback 12 throughout the whole season.
Let's go.
So finishing it up, we finished in our top 12, which is our goal. Unfortunately, by our I wouldn't say our original goal, but we would have liked to have seen us finish at the end of the regular season as quarterback, as a top 12 streaming quarterback, but it didn't happen. But as you can tell, as the weeks progressed, that it became much more difficult to pick the right quarterback. So there is that.
Which is why next year, since we're apparently doing a little edit to almost every competition, but next year, in order to incorporate more people's leagues besides just our own, since apparently our league picks up quarterbacks like crazy, we're going to go with that 65% cutoff. So that way there's a little bit more variety. It'll be a little bit more rolling the dice for us too. Just because you might pick somebody who's 64% owned and does worse, but it'll give us some options versus some weeks, literally there not even being one good person to pick up. I don't want to have to tell you to play Matt Ryan because no one in their right mind would. So we'll see how that affects it next year. But
I can tell you that
years of doing this,
I can tell you that there are a ton of fantasy football players that hope that Matt Ryan does never see the field again. It was so
There might
awful.
be some Falcons that hope he never sees the field again too.
That's probably true. All right. Is there anything else that you want to mention on the swimming upstream? And I just want to say congratulations on a successful season of swimming upstream, Jack. You did great.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, and you too, because we kind of co-opted this year, but I would just say that I really enjoyed the segment. I think it's a lot of fun. I don't know if it helps a ton of people out there, but the fact that I tossed this out before last season, just seeing I wonder how we would do. And then now back-to-back seasons of getting top 12 is pretty crazy. So consistency, we're doing well so far.
Absolutely. I love it. All right. We are going to be moving on to our next portion of our streamer spotlight. It is going to be the Streamer Showdown Challenge. And this week, we all pretty much had the same rosters, and we all pretty much finished pretty close to each other. But Jack, I don't get it, and I'm really impressed. How do you keep topping all of your scores? So why don't you just go over what your team was real quick?
Yeah, this one I did not expect it to be this big of a blowout, but let's see. We had Taysom Hill getting 17.3. I mean, that's pretty solid from a streaming quarterback. You'll take that. Rashad Penny basically carried the way for me. We getting 31.5, as he did with you guys both, obviously, too. Dare Gunbowale, 13.8. KJ Osborne, 12.5. Russell Gage, 6.5. Cole Kmet didn't do much, but then I think the biggest difference maker for me, which I don't believe either of you guys had him, was Deontay Foreman in my flex getting me 19.2. So that kind of separated it.
Yeah. 104 points.
104.88.
Yeah. I mean, you scored more points in your Streamer Showdown than Jordan did in the fantasy championship. Yeah. And you didn't even have a defense. So there's that. Or a kicker. So that's pretty good.
That's probably higher than my team in our league scored most of the year. So, I mean, maybe I should just stream from now on. Maybe I should just pick those guys and see how I do. Go from streaming quarterback to just streaming everything.
Do you know if that lineup would have been able to be, well, I don't know if it would have won you anything, but would that be a DFS lineup that you could afford?
Oh, I'm sure. I can't imagine any of those guys would have been very high value. Maybe Rashad Penny just because he was the only option, but I probably could have picked all of those guys and just saved an extra half of my money.
Okay.
So yeah, that would have been really good. This is kind of the reason, if you do play DFS, this is kind of what to follow for just this kind of segment, just because it kind of gives you some options of maybe like some budget picks and guys to save.
Yeah. It's kind of like these are bubble players that you're thinking about playing, or if you do DFS, guys that might be on your mind. And so if you see 3 rosters with essentially the same amount of players, it might make you feel a little bit easier. Yeah, it might make you feel a little bit easier about sliding them into your DFS lineup. Talking real quick about Foster's team here. Zach Wilson, Rashad Penny, Boston Scott, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, KJ Osborne, Gerald Everett, and Gabriel Davis. Foster had a very respectable 98 or 91.36. Marquez Valdez-Scantling just was a giant bust for both of us, but it happens. So 91.36. Foster, thank you so much for participating. I would encourage people next season when we do this, I think we're going to try and have a guest. I think it's kind of fun to have a guest on there. So
I do too.
So if you guys are interested, just let us know in our Discord, and we'll absolutely feature you on this segment. Moving on here real quick, we have my team. I had Ryan Tannehill, Rashad Penny, Boston Scott, KJ Osborne, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Cole Kmet, and Gabriel Davis for my highest point total of the season by a ton.
Yeah, would have been the record.
Yeah, 90.4 points. So that was awesome. So good for me. So, Jack, I can hear whoever's dying or burning in your video game that you're playing.
Oh, let me just shut that off.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Is there anything else that you want to talk about here before we get into our Discord discussion?
Just quick, I guess, shout out to you, because I think you were the one that came up with this idea or segments. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was pretty interesting, and like you said, it continues to be fun, at least to me, whether we pick all the same people or not, just because then that echoes it even more. I didn't expect them to be as competitive as they were, though. Not even just my scores, but we've had a few guests do really well, and we've had you do really well in some weeks. So I didn't expect us to be even breaking 60 in a lot of weeks, just because I thought it would be single digit players everywhere. So glad that it became as competitive as it was.
Yeah, no, it's fun. I mean, I'm not really looking to do it for competition's sake, but it's fun to track your scores and see where you're at. So it's not like I'm trying to prove that I'm better than you, but it's just I'm a numbers guy. Numbers are fun. Same. So we'll continue to keep doing that. So we are going to be moving into our Discord segment here.
Let's go.
Yeah. I just want to say thanks to everybody who has been part of our Discord this year. It's been fun doing this. The discussions have been fun, and the fact that we can come in here and just kind of mess around and chat and voice chat and stuff like that, it's a lot of fun. So if you guys are wanting that type of experience, feel free to swing on by anytime at the Discord, and we'd love to have you here. We do have a question from Audio Al. Thanks, Audio Al. He asks, what is your favorite style of league? Superflex, Dynasty, Redraft, DFS, Best Ball, Standard, PPR. Do you like the Superflex? Do you like the Fab? Do you like Auction Draft? Do you like Snake Drafts? I mean, what he is essentially saying, if you have a favorite style of league, what is it that you prefer? So, Jack, why don't you kick it off?
Yeah. So myself personally, I had never played Dynasty until 2 years ago in our league, and we'll get into it a little bit later. But I am really enjoying that. I think it's a fun way to create or form your team around a specific strategy. Maybe you can target players. The biggest thing for me is you can really make trades happen a lot easier. So I feel like a lot of us have experienced in redraft leagues, especially competitive ones, where it's just to me at least, I feel like there's always a winner and a loser. I think it's pretty clear in redraft leagues, at least at the time. So it makes it tough for people to actually agree on stuff. Whereas Dynasty, you've got, maybe this player is really, really good right now, but he's only got like a year or two left before he probably falls off a cliff. Or, you can add draft picks into the equation. So like, I think that allows people to balance things easier. And even if you have a bad team, you aren't just like out of it for the entire season. You're like, okay, I guess I'm going to rebuild, and I can kind of plan for next year, maybe get some high upside rookie guys. So I like that because there's just like a different strategy element to it. I would say, I guess on the other side of things, I don't know if I dislike it, but my least favorite of all of them probably is best ball, which is the first time I tried that this year too. And the only reason I say that is just because it was very tough for me not being able to make transactions. Like I'm typically somebody who makes the most or towards the most number of transactions in a league. So being able to just being forced to just say, okay, I guess this is my team for the next 18 weeks and not touching it was tough. But yeah, I guess those are kind of like the two sides of the spectrum. Do you have any thoughts to add in?
So for me, I thought I was always going to be like a one and done snake draft type of fantasy player. But when we did Dynasty and we did an auction draft, that was probably the most fun I've had drafting. Because
Yes.
you can go and you have total control of your budget, and you can go pick the guy you want to go get. So, and you're not handcuffed by the snake draft. So for different reasons, I will say that the snake draft, or I'm sorry, the auction draft is probably my favorite style of draft. I think I do prefer the redraft style leagues though, just because if you have a terrible year, you can wipe it away and you can start fresh with the new team. If you have a terrible team in Dynasty, you are going to be riding that for quite some time. So
a while. Yeah, that's fair.
So, different reasons. I do like Dynasty. There isn't a game mode that I say that I wouldn't play. Probably best ball, just because of the fact that you don't do anything with that roster.
Yeah, kind of like I was feeling too.
I think another one that I don't think we've mentioned, the Guillotine League. We've mentioned that a little bit.
Yeah.
That's a fun league because if it's like a regular league, except for there are 17 teams, maybe 18 this year since there was an extra
18. Yeah, this year.
So if you are the lowest score of the league that week, you are chopped, and all of your players now enter into the free agent pool, and then whoever has fab can now bid on those players. I didn't play it this year just because there was too many in the league, but how was like the website this year? I know last year I thought it was pretty clunky. I didn't like the way Charge had the fab system set up. Like it was almost like you had to make two steps to acquire a player. Do you know what I'm kind of talking about there?
100%. I agree. I definitely think they fixed some pieces of it this year, and it was better. Granted, for those of you that don't know about Paul Charchian is the one that set up the Guillotine League, at least that we use. It does have an app this year that I wasn't able to use last year, which I enjoyed. So that was nice. There were still a few glitches. Like I feel like if I went in to add a player off waivers or like free agent bid for a player, and then I like hit to the position too quickly, it would sometimes kick me out. So like that was kind of annoying, but I think it got better and it's relatively brand new as well. So I think it's going to probably take a little bit before they iron out the kinks. But that being said, Guillotine League is really fun. Obviously it's very boring if you get eliminated right off the bat, but if you haven't tried it before, I think it's something that you should give a shot at, because you're not competing to get a win each week. You're not competing against 17 other people. You just have to not be 18th out of 18, which, is doable. So
yeah, no, I think that style is fun. It's different. If you're to play one league and one league style only, like what one would you select?
Okay. So I'm torn obviously between dynasty and redraft, but I would 100%, if I could just make one addition or one change, I would always put it as an auction draft for me personally, because you talked about that a little bit in our dynasty startup. But I think that is so much better to me than redraft. You need to have a group of people that like all of you know what you're doing, like so that it makes it even versus some people really not knowing how to spend their money and stuff. But an auction just gives you so much more ability to get anybody you want, like you were talking about. Like if you're like, I'm going to only get the top quarterback and the top receiver, and then that's what my team's going to be, fine, you can do that. If you want to get a bunch of like third and fourth round picks and just have your team be really deep, you can do that too. So I think auction makes it so much more fun. You're invested and like engaged in every single pick, rather than like, oh, I picked second and now I picked and I don't pick again for 24 spots. Like that can kind of sometimes get boring to me and make a draft kind of drag on in a way. So if I could always make everything be auction, that would be my one dream.
Yeah. So if I had to choose one league style, if I was playing in one league, it'd be a redraft league that would be auction style every year, because I want to be able to attempt to go after the guys that I want to have on my team. Because I think I've tried stating this throughout the whole season, especially early on, is that fantasy football is fun when you're able to go get the guys that you want to have on your team. Now, regardless if they do well or not on your team, once you get them on your team is a whole nother story. But the fact that you're going after the players that you specifically want, you're not at the mercy of the snake draft. You just have to outbid the other person. So I think auction drafts are literally the best draft style out there. But I do respect the snake style game. It's different. So that's why I'm in like, 2 or 3 different leagues. I ended up being in 4 this year, but it was nice to have those options. So we have one more question here from Garlic Johnson. Thank you, Garlic. And thank you, Al, for posting questions this year in our Discord. It's much appreciated. Garlic says, realistically, no one in the world is going to trade for Kirk, right? That's just a pipe dream, I feel, not based in reality. Thoughts?
Were there reports that somebody was trying to trade for Kirk, or that we were trying to trade him away? I guess I don't know.
No idea.
I can't imagine somebody would, because it's very tough to trade for like big end contracts. And if they did, like, are we going to have to eat a lot of the money? Is it going to be like where it's not really worth it anyway? Like, if you're going to get, a couple of small pieces back, but now our team doesn't have a quarterback and we're terrible, like what's the benefit, I guess?
Yeah. We're gonna have Kirk. We're gonna let Kirk's contract probably expire. I would assume that once the first day of the year hits, I can't see. There's language in his contract that states if he's on the roster or whatever, he's guaranteed money for next season at the start of this season. So, however that's gonna work out. So. If we get a new GM in here, I mean, who knows? Like, we're going to have a new head coach. Most likely, we're probably going to have a new GM. He might just say, forget it. We're going to cut Kirk and just eat that dead cap for the season and try and move on. So I don't know what's going to happen with Kirk. Nobody's going to trade for him. I don't think so. He's too polarizing. Even though he's a good quarterback, I don't think people, they just don't like him. Can you speak to that? Like, why don't they like Kirk?
I don't get it, because I guess I do. I mean, he's not a guy that's like making a ton of headlines. He's not like a me quarterback who's like complaining about the team or anything like that. So like personality wise, I think he's about as vanilla and wholesome as you can get. As far as a quarterback, I think he does do a good job. Like, he's had a really good season this year, even though our wins haven't come from it. There was some stat I wish I would have saved that I just saw recently, that it was like the Vikings are the first team that have had a quarterback with, I think, like 30 plus touchdowns, this much of a QBR rating, and like a plus turnover differential of this amount, and still to have a losing record. So it's like he's doing, things right. I think I question the play calling a lot of the times more than him necessarily, but like pulling up his stats. He's going to break 4,000 yards this year, even though he missed a game. He's got 30 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. I know 2 of them were pretty rough. Which game would that have been? There was a game recently where 2 of them were tipped by receivers that were not necessarily his fault. He's done statistically well. I just feel like we're forgetting, like, our Vikings fans have very short memories where we're talking about like how we need somebody better and he's not going to get us to the Super Bowl and blah, blah. And it's like, I'm sorry, did any other quarterbacks in recent history get us to the Super Bowl? Like, we've had a lot of people that we were like the Bears meme where they've got that jersey, or the Browns where they've got like 18 quarterback names on a jersey in a row. Like, we had a lot of guys for years and years that I think people forget how rough they were. Or even guys that weren't necessarily rough, like Teddy Bridgewater. Like, he wasn't bad, but he wasn't a guy to like take over the game. He was a game manager that had AEP and a much better defense. So like, I think Vikings fans are sometimes a little bit too greedy, where it's like, we're not going to be doing a lot better with any other options we can get. A rookie's not going to come in and like fix the problem because we never have a high enough draft pick. There's not going to be some free agent that we're going to be able to afford to spend the money on. Yes, we have other issues too. Yes, Cousins isn't always like perfect, but I still think he's a top 10, top 12 quarterback in the league personally, as far as like what he's doing and decision-making wise.
So if we still had Teddy Bridgewater on our team, I can guarantee 3 things. Rick Spielman would not currently be our GM. Mike Zimmer would not currently be our head coach. And Teddy Bridgewater definitely would not be our quarterback because he's not as good as what Kirk is. I mean, would you agree? He's never going to be as good as Kirk.
I agree. I don't think Teddy should be starting quarterback. I like the guy. Yeah. I think Kirk is good enough. I think we need some better play going in there. We have the offensive weapons between Cook, Thielen, Jefferson, KJ stepping up, Irv Smith back next year. We need a little bit better offensive line play, and our defense is just in shambles. Offensive line, we have the pieces. I just think we need to be a little bit smarter in how we do our play calling and how we scheme against other teams.
Okay. All right. We are going to be moving on. Thank you, Gar, for your question in the Discord. Again, thank you everybody for joining our Discord. If you'd like to join our Discord to be able to ask us more of these questions, please find the link in our show description and continue to ask us. Also, it doesn't have to be football related. Like, we will absolutely do off topic. Like, it's literally an AMA. If we don't like your question, we won't read it, but feel free to just start putting up questions for us. So we are going to be moving into our next segment, which is going to be our fantasy football segment. We're just going to quickly go over our league here and what happened with our league. And so we're going to transition over to there. And you can see that Foster has beat Jordan for the 2021/2022 fantasy championship. So congratulations to Foster. Nice job. You had one hell of a team this year. I really think that you did an amazing job, and I know you were clawing just to get into the playoffs at the end. So a bunch of respect for you there, for sure. So, is there anything, Jack, that you wanted to talk about when it comes to our Week 17 championship here in the Victoria's Secret?
Not a ton. I mean, it wasn't like overly close or anything.
Shout out to Foster, because I know he's
Lost multiple championships. He's been in the championship a lot in our league and never actually won it. So cool to see him get his name on the trophy and have a new winner. I think Foster's team was projected more coming in. I think looking on paper, Foster's team was better. So I like that it was nothing against Jordan. I like that it was the team that like should have won that one between the two of them. Jordan's team just had a rough go of it with some injuries and some running back depth. But both of them had a good season, and glad that it was exciting as always for our league. Tough to pick. Like, there's not typically a very dominant team that's like a shoe-in to win it most years. I mean, Foster was the 4th seed. So pretty rare that like a number 1 or a number 2 seed even wins the championship. And that's my 2 cents. That's all I got.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really have anything else to. I just echo all those sentiments. So, if there's nothing else that we want to talk about with our Victoria's Secret Fantasy League, I just want to say thank you everybody for playing this year. I know it was a real competitive year. It was tough. It was, I think it was a lot of fun. And I know COVID was a huge headache, and I'm really hoping that next season it won't be nearly as bad. So, other than that, do you have any parting words for our league before we start getting into off-season mode stuff?
Just, I guess, shout out to those of you that had good seasons. Like I said before, I'm glad that everybody was competitive for the most part, and that the league overall was close. Hopefully we can continue to keep that going and find some ways to do some fun stuff in the off season, hopefully either through our podcast or some other competitions and stuff to keep some league engagement going. But it's been a long running league, and it's always competitive and intense and a lot of fun. So looking forward to next year.
Right on. Hey, I saw that you had some notes about a segment called Dynasty Direction. We'll take care of some of that stuff in a future episode?
Yeah, that's fine. I just tossed it in there. We can do it at another date.
Yeah, no, we're going to have a ton of stuff, which we'll be getting into here shortly after we're done talking about some of our leagues here quickly. Like we stated last week, we did have a fantasy championship matchup between myself and you, and Jack, you killed it, man. You took it down. So I finished first last year, finished second this year, got absolutely nothing. Didn't even get to move up a draft pick or anything like that. So all I get was a payment request from the league manager to pay my league fee for next year. So that's what I got for finishing in second place. But Jack, congratulations on your first Dynasty Championship this year. If you go back to back, you will win the pot of gold, which I think is going to be over $1,000 next year. So that'll be sweet. So, thoughts on winning your first Dynasty Championship?
Crazy. I did not expect that. For those of you that don't know, I started the season at 1-6. And I think I went on a 7-game win streak to squeak into the playoffs as either the 5th or the 6th seed. I don't really remember, but I was having conversations with a few other people during the season when I was 1-5, 1-6, and I'm like, I have like the 3rd most points in the league or the 4th most points or whatever. I'm like, how is this team bad? Like, do I just blow it up and start rebuilding? So there were several times where I considered either like the problem was probably the only reason I didn't throw in the towel and kind of look forward to next season was just because I didn't have a first round pick, which I traded for Austin Eckler. So I was like, well, it's not going to benefit me to not do well anyways. I might as well just screw over the person who has my first round pick now and try to do better, at least finish 7th or 8th, and squeaked in and had a gross finish against Foster. I think it was like 67-68 or something not pretty, and then survived in the playoffs. And yeah, I was talking to a lot of people coming into this week about how I so desperately wanted not to lose, not about winning the championship, but just because I didn't want the league to get blown up. So very glad that the league at least survives for now. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. Did not expect to actually pull it off though.
Right on. Do you want to go over our matchup at all? Or do we want to give scores? Like I've been trying to find that stuff here on the Sleeper website. But again, I hate the layout, and Alex moved us into off-season mode, so it's hard for me to see exactly what's going on.
Yeah, so our matchup, I got it here. I just found I'll show you off camera, but it's kind of weird how to get to it from Sleeper. Sleeper does a good job of keeping track of like league history and everything, but it's kind of weird where you got to go from one spot to the next to get to a previous league's thing. So the matchup ended up being 97.96 to 78.12. I guess big performers or big shockers on your end were Zeke only putting up 3 points against the Cardinals when the Cowboys were down pretty much the whole game. That was crazy for me to see that. other big ones, I mean, Mark Andrews had 8.9, which is low for his standards lately, but still a decent game. I think he's going to be a beast of a tight end going forward. Damian Harris was 16.7, probably would have done more, but he got hurt, I think, in the third quarter and was out for part of it. And then on my side, Austin Eckler, my team's MVP, carrying me the way again, was 17.2. And then the Bears defense with 24 might have been the pickup of the week, because I think without that, if I would have even gotten like a team that got 4 points or something like that, I would have lost. So not a really exciting matchup. I think kind of gross. Typically you don't feel safe with 97 points as a total, but it was enough, and that's all that matters at that point. I don't think a ton of people scored really high that week, if I remember. So like technically 97 would have beaten 4 out of the other 5 teams in the playoffs. So luckily Garlic didn't make the championship because he put up 125, but it's enough to get the job done.
Okay. Yeah. I found it. I think I found it there. I wonder why I can't do that, like literally on the website on my computer, but I can do it in the app. So I'll see if I can figure it out a little bit more. Yeah. Congratulations, Jack, on your first championship. It was a lot of fun. I had a disappointing week, but that's all right. Hopefully I can come back next year. I look at my team and I think about my championship roster and I go, God, that's trash. But then I scroll down to my my injured reserve list and I see that I've got a little name there by he goes by Derrick Henry, and with him back in.
You ever heard of him?
Yeah, if you've ever heard of him, I'm gonna be excited that he's coming back. So hopefully I'll be in contention again next year.
Yeah.
So, all right. That will do it for that. Jack, is there another league that you want to talk about here real quick before we move on to a few things that we're going to be talking about for our off season?
Yeah. Just really quick shout outs to the winners of other leagues that we were involved in, some kind of unique leagues this year. So shout out to Josh for winning the best ball league. Shout out to Cassie for winning the Champions League, which had a whole number of different crazy rules, super flex, tight end premium, running back carries, blah, blah, blah. But she pulled off that one. And then Jake, congrats to him for winning in the Guillotine League. That is it.
Jake, is that Jake Schlitz?
Yes, sir.
He doesn't watch football. His version of football is soccer.
I believe it was Jake. Tyler took second, and then I took third. My team in the final 3 got shafted, where literally after you get to the top 5, you can't pick up people anymore. You just have to play with who you have, so that it's not unfair for like the teams that don't have any money left. And so with the final 3 of us left, I literally only had enough for a starting lineup because everybody on my bench was either injured for just that week or was on the COVID list. So not ideal. I felt really good about my team winning it all until that week happened. But yeah, Jake's team was really, really solid. I think he was number 2 all year, right behind me. And then Tyler made some moves at the end of the season to kind of jump into contention for top 3 as well.
Right on. Congratulations to everybody out there. I want to shout out to Cassie for winning our Champions Branch Out League. That is the league that is hosted by Garlic. She is also in our Victorious Secret Fantasy Football League, and she is a previous Victorious Secret champion. So awesome to see her take first place there. And we'll look forward to battling it out again next year. So that'll be fun. Moving on into our final segment here. So I think what we're going to be bringing you shorter weekly episodes through the Super Bowl. So we're going to be talking about, we're going to be having a mini game, which we're going to be talking about here shortly with our second season Fantasy Football League, which will be a lot of fun. And then after the Super Bowl, I think my goal would be to dive into numbers when it comes to like player positions. So 1 week I want to talk about quarterbacks, 1 week running backs, wide receivers, blah, blah, blah. And specifically, I want to be using data from our Victorious Secret League. So I'm going to see what I can do to figure out how we can import data into spreadsheets and start figuring out how we can take that data and breaking it down into different categories to give us some analytics. Like one of the analytics that I wanted to have is like, so Katie had Justin Herbert on her as her fantasy quarterback, the number 2 quarterback of the fantasy season. But Katie's team, unfortunately, did not make the playoffs. In fact, I don't even remember how she finished in the regular season, but it wasn't a playoff season, so it was kind of a lost season for her. But
Yeah.
the fact, but like, it wasn't Justin Herbert's fault that she didn't make the playoffs. So one of like my goals was like, or one of the analytics I want to look at is, let's see if we can look at the weekly quarterback scores for a quarterback and figure out what the floor is to have a score that will give you the best chance. Like, he won't be the reason that you lost.
Yeah.
So, just try and do some analytics, stuff like that. So like Justin Herbert, yeah, he was a great quarterback. He won you? He contributed to your team's success more than he hurt your team. So just kind of breaking stuff down like that. I think doing stuff like that is going to be a lot of fun. Did you have any off-season ideas, or what were your thoughts?
I think my biggest focus, what I'll try to focus on more, is just bringing like maybe a dynasty segment each episode to it. So whether like however often we do it in between, I feel like if it's maybe like once a month, that'll be enough to kind of do some dynasty, just because without a lot of like, training camp or games going on, stocks won't change too much. I mean, they'll change as like rookie drafts are coming closer and then like free agent moves and stuff. But I think maybe either it's, some people to pick up or some strategies for like the rookie draft or what to look for and just stuff like that. So I think that'll kind of be my focus.
Yeah. So some of these topics that we're doing that are going to be analytical based, we're both going to be having to contribute to some of these stat research things. But we don't want to do that, like, because we don't have time to always have like time to like dive into all these analytics sometimes. So I had a couple other ideas that we can do for content, and one of those ideas as well was like, I want to call them like a fantasy brainstorm, where we're going to be bringing in other people to join us, and we can just, we can have a blank note sheet and we'll just talk football for, half hour, 45 minutes, whatever, just to get up there, talk about what's going on in the NFL, talk about fantasy players that we're looking forward to, stuff like that. So we're just going to have a very, very loose outline, and it's essentially just going to be just us going back and forth talking about how we feel about players and what they can do for your fantasy team. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. One other idea that I had was I want to do just like totally off topic stuff. So if we have enough questions to do only a Q&A episode, we'll do that. I believe Garlic Johnson is the owner of the Initials game. So I think it would be fun if we can get like an Initials game going.
That would be a blast.
Our podcast.
I know Jordan and Ben both love that too, so we could potentially have them as guests.
Yeah,
I would do a competition thing.
Yeah, I want to have 4 people. I want to have the person reading the questions, and then I like Corey Cove does on the radio, and then I want to have the 4 competitors, and we'll just play Initials for half hour, 45 minutes, whatever, just so that we can keep up our
I'd fully be in for that. That'd be a blast.
So, just some general ideas. So we're going to have stuff that does pertain to football, and we're going to have stuff that doesn't pertain to football. And if you've been checking out my Twitch channel, you've seen that I've been posting some videos in Caldera, playing some Call of Duty Warzone. So if you guys are video games fans, feel free to check that stuff out too. So do you have any other ideas or anything like that you wanted to talk about when it comes to off-season content?
I don't think so as of now, but just, I guess, keep tuned in on the Discord or follow us on Twitter if you want to as well, and we'll post ideas kind of as we talk about it off camera and come up with some more ideas too.
Initially, I think I wanted to do every other week for a podcast after the Super Bowl was over with, but depending on how much time these analytics take or whatever, we might be doing something like we might be doing every 3 weeks. So some months there might be 2 official podcasts. 1 month, there might be only 1, but we will there will always be weekly content, whether it's football or not football related stuff here on this channel. So this channel will always be live, and we might, even if we're dying to have an episode and we don't have our analytics ready, we can just say, hey, let's just go on and just brainstorm. Let's just talk about a few different things. So, I mean, it's going to be very informal, but we are going to be consistent, and we're going to be here throughout the whole off season so that you guys don't forget about us. So that'll be fun. I don't think I have anything else here. I do. I do want to talk about second season. We got to talk about second season here real quick. Second season, it is in the Discord. If you are in the Discord and you guys want to play, it is $20. And all of the information to get set up, to where to pay, where to go, what you need to do, it's all in the Discord. If you can't find it in the Discord, I want you either DM me or Jack in Discord, or whatever other venues that if you know how to get a hold of us to be playing our fantasy mini game the second season. Now, I initially set up the league to be where you can pick as many players you can fill your roster from the same team with as many players as you want, but I've heard a lot of people say that they would rather just select one player from each team and move on from there. So we are going to be switching that up. So it's not going to be you can pick as many players from Kansas City as you want. I believe you're going to be picking one player from each of the 14 playoff teams, because your roster is going to be 14 players. And at the end of all of it, whoever has the most points at the end of the Super Bowl will be crowned the second season champion. And depending on how many people we have, will determine what the payouts will be for that. So I'm excited to do that. Information is in the Discord, so please feel free to check that out and get a hold of us if you're wanting to do that. Jack, do you have anything to add on that? You're muted. You pulled a Walters.
I was so close to the end too. No, I think you covered everything well. I think it'll just be a fun way for people that need their little bit of fantasy football fix after the season's over, for them to still be connected and involved with something like that. So it should be a good time.
Right on. Okay. Last official episode of the regular season. I just wanted to make a quick shout out to all of our supporters out there. Talking Fantasy Football Hacks. I'm talking Al. I'm talking Garlic. I'm talking Praying Mantis Princess. How about all of Jack's buddies who's been in our chats throughout the season? I'm talking like Mitty. I'm talking Jag was there. We've had Luke. He's been there. I believe the Goat was here. Like just people I'm trying to rattle off who have been in our chat. How about Glick? Glick's been there. He's been lighting up our chat every once in a while. Jay, he's been there. A shout out to our whole league who has listened and everything like that. I mean, just a lot of appreciation from me, and I'm sure from Jack as well. We really appreciate the support, and it's been a lot of fun doing this year. So if I missed you, it's not because I didn't think of you. It's just there's so many people to thank, and I really do appreciate all of the support that you have that you guys have given us. Jack, do you have anything that you want to build off of that? And you're muted.
I keep doing it because I'm getting some weird feedback on my side. Sorry. No, just appreciate all the engagement this season, and enjoying that we're coming up with more and more segments to like get involvement or have people have fun ways to do things rather than just, hey, come talk about your fantasy team and that's it. So I want to have more like fantasy related games. So at least you have something to entertain yourselves and compete and play along with us, and, hear each other's takes and stuff as we go, even if your current season may not be going as well as you would hope. So looking forward to adding more and more stuff, and we will keep you posted.
Absolutely. I don't think I have anything else that I want to add. Again, if you want to check out our show notes, you can find everything that you need to know about how to get a hold of us. how to follow us. It's all going to be in the show notes. So thank you very much for checking us out. And I hope you guys have a great off season. We'll hope to see you guys back here soon. Jack, have a great rest of your weekend. And, well, why don't you send us off?
It's been fun, everyone. Looking forward to talking to you next season, technically. And Happy New Year. Also, congrats, Walters, on second place. Goodbye.
Bye. All right, everybody, again, thank you so much. Praying Mantis Princess, thank you so much for checking out our pod today. It was just a pleasure having you here. I want to shout out to Al. Thanks for hitting up our chat. And also Gar, thank you, sir, for your voicemail. Very much appreciated. So I don't think there's anything else that I really need to cover. I just want to say you guys have been just fantastic. Not much else to say. So thank you so much. We will catch you guys here again next week, and we will see you later. Bye.